4 tons of angry muscle. 2 massive sweeping tusks designed to flip predators into the air like pancakes. A thick layer of coarse fur and fat built to shrug off the cold. Now look at your own hands. Soft, thin skin, flat teeth meant for chewing roots and berries. You are standing in the dirt, gripping a wooden stick with a sharp rock glued to the end of it, staring at a mammoth. This is, mathematically speaking, the worst physical matchup in natural history. In a fair fight, early humans rolling up to a mammoth or a giant woolly rhino or a cave bear is the biological equivalent of showing up to a gunfight with a pool noodle. A single kick from this animal would shatter your ribcage into dust. A casual swing of its head would snap your spine. You have no armor. Your sprint speed is frankly embarrassing compared to almost any 4-legged animal on Earth. And yet, your target today is that mammoth. Because securing that much meat means your group eats for weeks. It means surviving the season. So, how do you take down a walking mountain when you are a squishy, fragile target? You don't fight fair. You run a heist. If you cannot punch your way through the reinforced steel door of a bank vault, you don't keep punching the steel. You dismantle the alarm system. You cut the power. You hack the building. Early humans hacked the natural order. And the weapon of choice was not the spear. It was the sun. The hunt begins at the worst possible day of day, high moon. The heat is suffocating. The air shimmers above the dirt. Every other predator in the region, the big cats, the wolves, the bears, is asleep in the shade. Moving in this temperature is a death sentence, which is exactly why you and your hunting party are stepping out into the open. You find the tracks, massive plate-sized depressions in the soil. You find the target. The mammoth is grazing near a tree line. You don't sneak up and try to wrestle it. You don't charge it screaming. That usually only happens in terrible movies, and it usually ends with the screaming guy getting stomped into a paste. Instead, you just walk toward it. You throw a rock. You wave your arms. You shout. The mammoth gets spooked. It doesn't want to deal with you. It turns and runs. It easily outpaces you. In minutes, it puts a mile of distance between itself and your group. It finds a quiet spot under some trees, assumes it has lost you, and stands still to cool down. This is where the human biological cheat code activates. Mammoths, antelope, deer, cats, dogs, almost every animal on Earth cools down in the exact same way. They pant. To dump heat from their bodies, they have to stop moving, stand entirely still, and take rapid, shallow breaths. They cycle cool air over the wet surfaces of their tongue and lungs. If an animal is running, it cannot pant. If it cannot pant, its core internal temperature rises. Now look back at your soft, fragile, furless human skin. You do not pant. You leak. You secrete water from millions of microscopic pores across your entire body. As the wind hits the moisture on your skin, it evaporates instantly, drawing heat away from your blood. You sweat. It sounds gross. We spend billions of dollars today trying to hide it, mask it, and wipe it away. But out here in the dirt, sweating is a devastating tactical weapon. It means humans are the only predators on Earth that can run and cool down at the exact same time. You don't need shade. You don't need to stop. You just keep moving. 10 minutes after the mammoth stops to rest, it hears a sound. Footsteps. You and your crew jog over the ridge. Not sprinting, not charging, just jogging. Slowly, rhythmically. To the animal, you are the world's slowest, most persistent horror movie villain. You are a slow Terminator. You never run fast enough to catch it immediately, but you absolutely never stop coming. The mammoth panics again. It forces its massive, heavy body into a heavy trot. It runs for another 2 miles. Dust kicks up into your throat. The glare of the sun is blinding. Your legs burn, but you just keep jogging. You read the dirt. A crushed blade of grass, a snapped twig, a smudge of mud on a stone. The signs are neon signs to you. Hour 2. The mammoth finds a patch of shade. It is breathing heavily now.
Its massive body generates an astronomical amount of internal heat. Thick fur traps that heat inside. It desperately needs to stand still for 30 minutes just to lower its core temperature. It gets 5 minutes. Then you jog over the hill, spears in hand, breathing steadily, sweating continuously. The animal's eyes widen. It runs again. Hour 3. The psychology of the hunt takes over. The mammoth is massive, heavily armed, and capable of destroying you, but it is terrified. No predator in the natural world behaves like this. Cheetahs sprint for 30 seconds and then give up. Lions ambush, and if they miss, they go back to sleep. Nothing simply follows you for 3 hours.
Hour 4. The mammoth's stride is getting sloppy. Its head hangs low. Saliva drips from its trunk. Its cooling system has failed. The giant body is literally cooking itself from the inside out. The brain is swelling. The muscles are cramping. It tries to run again, but its legs refuse to cooperate. Often, early hunting crews used this exhaustion to steer the animal. You don't just chase it blindly, you subtly herd it. You angle your approach so the animal's only escape route leads exactly where you want it to go. A steep ravine, a blind canyon, or better yet, an ancient bog. A fresh, healthy mammoth would never walk into deep, sticky mud. It knows better. But an overheating, panicking, exhausted giant isn't looking at the ground. It is just trying to get away from the slow-moving creatures that refuse to stop following it. It steps into the mud. The heavy 4-ton frame sinks instantly, up to the knees, up to the stomach. It thrashes, it screams, but every movement only pulls it deeper. Now the heist enters its final phase. The bank vault is open. Even trapped and exhausted, the mammoth is incredibly dangerous. You don't rush in. You stay back. You wait for the heat stroke to do the heavy lifting. When the animal finally collapses, fully drained, unable to lift its massive head, the hunting party moves in. It isn't a dramatic, slow-motion leap through the air with a spear perfectly aimed between the eyes. It is calculated, clinical. Sharp stone points find the vital arteries. The giant breathes its last heavy breath, and the savanna goes quiet. When archaeologists dig up these kill sites thousands of years later, the story is written directly into the earth. They find massive bones clustered together at the bottom of ancient dried-up bogs. They pull up fractured ribs covered in microscopic, perfectly parallel scratches, cut marks, the unmistakable signature of stone tools slicing through muscle and tendon. Sometimes they find the stone flakes themselves, broken off and still wedged tightly inside the bone, a permanent record of the moment a tiny, fragile creature dismantled a giant. But taking down the mammoth is only the first half of the problem. The adrenaline fades. The sun begins to lower below the horizon. You are 5 miles from your camp. You are completely exhausted, covered in sweat and dirt. And now you have a mountain of meat sitting in the open grass. You have to butcher it fast. Using sharp flakes of flint, you and the crew begin slicing through hide that is inches thick. It is backbreaking, tedious work. Blood coats your hands. The smell of raw meat drifts into the wind. And the wind carries that smell a very, very long way. You didn't conquer this landscape by being the strongest, the fastest, or the most lethal. You survived because you were the most stubbornly persistent creature on the planet. You weaponized your own sweat. You used your stamina to break the mind and body of animals 10 times your size. It is a dry, slightly absurd reality. The undisputed apex predator of the ancient world was a squishy, hairless ape that just really liked to jog. But as the sun finally dips below the horizon, your problems are far from over. The sweat that saved you all afternoon is now drying cold on your skin. And out in the tall grass, something has smelled the blood. So, you secured the mammoth meat, but now you have a pack of terrifying wolves circling your camp to steal it. How did we survive them? Actually, we didn't just survive them. Click the video on your screen to see how deadly wolves accidentally became man's best friend.